Yes. So welcome Maya ma'am today. Thank you so much for taking time for us and talking to us about the learning styles, which are very important for all of us to understand, to help our children, whether we are homeschooling or whether they go to a school of any kind. So Maya ma'am comes with decades of experience in education field and in special education. Being a parent herself, she knows autism very closely, and that's what makes her approach towards teaching very unique and rich. So she has an MA master's degree in special education. She's currently the principal of Vaidehi Special Education School. So welcome, ma'am. Please take it from here.
Yeah, thank you. Good evening, everyone. I hope this is a very small world of education and schooling, and we would have met one place or another. So it's a very small place, and we will keep meeting also. So we will all be very well aware of me. You would have met me somewhere, or in some of the groups you would have conversations. So we are not really new. And as how Bindu said, learning, it's not only learning for our children. What I do is also a learning for myself. So it is not teaching. I will never call it a teaching. It is a learning is what I will say. Because learning to teach is what I will say that. That's the role, right? So when we become a mother, we start to enjoy the motherhood, and we are a first-time parent. Along with the child, a mother is also growing there. So in a similar manner, along with the child who is learning, as a learner, we are also there as a learner in part of a teaching. How do we coexist? Okay, I'll start my presentation. Presentation's nothing much, 4-5 slides actually there, and to set the context of our conversation, that is what the presentation is all about. So what we exactly mean, are we all aligned in the topic of learning? To look at that as a presentation, we'll keep this forum very open for discussions, because all of us are very unique. We are unique, our children are unique, their processing are unique. So this is not going to be a one-way process of me telling and you taking it up. It will not make, it will not help you also, Rita. I will not be making sense to each of you. So it will be good that if we can keep it open for the discussion. So I have very less slides to set us ourselves on the topic. Then we will go for the question answers, which is already what we have received in here. 15 questions we have received. Then we'll also take questions from the audience live, and then we'll see how we can, how I'll be able to address it. Just a minute. Huh? Are you able to see my screen?
Ma'am, please try to use the presentation mode.
Yeah, presentation mode I will do. Because I'm able to see myself. So I am asking, yeah, am I?
Yes, we can see your screen.
Yeah. So to keep it very simple, how do we discover the learning styles? There is already few which has been already said. VAKT is already mentioned. Visual, auditory, kinesthetic, and tactile, which all of us know and which we have also experienced as learners. But with our children, we have a little more wider way of learning, which I have experienced in all my teaching learning process. So I call it a teaching learning process. It's a teaching process and also a learning process. So for the teaching learning process, what are the other learning styles we will be using? Let us discuss. So moving on, before that, let's see, what do you mean by in terms of neuro, because we are very oftenly use these terms. So it's important to know these terms and what exactly it means for our context of discussion. Okay. So we all come under the umbrella of neurodiversity. That is, I am different from you, you are different from me, and individually all of us are different. All of us are unique and different. Okay. And we acknowledge our differences, whatever is happening. Under this neurodiversity umbrella, okay, we have two sectors called neurodivergent and neurotypical. So as how it says, neurotypical are those who do not have classified as neurodivergent. They don't have any condition per se. They don't fall in any particular condition, and they are able to think and process and perform things in so said described way. While on the other end, we see so that there is someone with a difference there. They are neurodivergent. They have brain functions different. Their learning and processing is very different. Their processing of information is different. Sharing of information is different. Those compared to the neurotypical. So this is where we stand different. So when we have our brain functions different, our learning and processing information different, the entire learning process is also definitely different. What set so well for a neurotypical may not set very well for a neurodivergent. So to be more precise, effective for a neurodivergent, we have to have the right appropriate approaches, what will work for the neurodivergent community. Only then we will be able to get the best out of them, best out of the teaching learning process. So I have made a small infographics. So who all will come under this neurodivergent category? Okay, if with children with the developmental issues like the dyslexia, dysgraphia, okay, CP, they will all also fall in. Children with physical health and sensory impairments like visually impaired, hearing impaired, those people with other physical health issues with them. And next is the processing is different with mental health people, mental ill people. It can be children or adult. They also process very differently, who goes through depression, anxiety, dementia, all this OCD, this. And comes our occurred, what will happen is over a period of time, if they have migraine, epilepsy, it can be either acquired is on the way. It's not on the onset of birth. After the birth, they acquire this. So we also see umbrella of strength, what they hold. So what does not let us go with our children is the strength what they possess. The perseverance, sometimes what they show us in terms of how they hold their acute interest and skill over certain subjects like math, arts, or music. These are the areas that really astonishes us. If they are able to learn a particular subject or a particular area of skill, why do they again struggle with other areas? These are the usual questions what every parents go through. So all of this come under this umbrella. All of these people come under the umbrella. So whatever the RPWD Act is covering, 2016 Act is covering all these people and trying to address. Okay, our RCI board is doing really well. So I'm an active member in the RCI board. I also I attend and also take CRE programs. I'm a resource person in CRE. So being a parent, being a homeschooler for my son, and working with so many children, including prodigy, gifted, okay, all the ranges of children I have worked with. I've also worked with so-called neurotypicals, because we should always keep working with neurotypical as a professional to know how neurodivergent is a neurodivergent. That's very, very important at each point of time, because I cannot compare myself with a neurodivergent child of this era. We cannot do that. So we should always have a hold of neurotypical children at particular age groups at different level to know what is the current level of children's ability and how differently are they able. So for that to know, this is what exactly it means. So our RCI is doing a lot of programs. They are trying to bring up a lot of quality programs, trying to bring in digitalization, also trying to make information and resources reach to all the people throughout India. They are taking a lot of effort, and they are making it all the more stricter that special educators have to be under the RCA registration license, because it makes a lot of sense. They have to get their license, then they have to get upgrading themselves to renew their license. They attend forums. So last November, I attended an international seminar conducted by RCI regarding the pedagogies of teaching. Okay, with children with neurodiversity, what are the different pedagogy? Pedagogy is nothing but science of teaching. Okay, what are the different tools and techniques and approaches and methods do we do to teach? And what is there anything new that is being come up, and how do they share that, and how do we can go and implement it? So I also presented a paper. I have presented my research article over there. So I'm happy that I'm able to contribute to the researches, because I have always worried and wondered that research is happening and piled up on one end of all the universities, while we mothers do not get to know what is happening in the other side, but so busy and occupied with our children. So there should be someone to bridge both the research resources and the end useful, a person who needs it entirely. So I kept looking for people. I did not get anyone. Then thought, okay, why don't I be that? So partly do and research activities, read a lot of research activities, and give emphasis to evidence-based practices, randomly, not trial and error, and call that it as a method or a strategy. Rather, do it with a particular set of children, in a population or a sample, analyze it scientifically under the guidance of a guide or a guru, and then because they will show us what we are missing. They will enlighten us in terms of where to look at. Sometimes we get distracted, sometimes we overly get involved. They also helps us to show the desired path, what we should do. Sometimes I get overly involved as a parent also. Being a parent, the topics which is so close to my son is so touchy for me that I would have deep dived into also. So that also does not hold good for this research. So they will guide us in terms of what and how to be done. So taking the evidence-based practices, and how do we apply those practices in our day-to-day life, and see the beauty of learning in children, and we also enjoy the learning process. So the first and foremost, doing anything and everything before us, have your child's profile in your fingertips. Okay, don't worry about what is there in the outside world. So when you teach, so whomever you teach, I teach a student, I call me he is my child or she is my child. I never call them as a student. Child is a child for me, whether it is born to me or if it is a student of mine. So only when we have that amount of involvement, we will be able to see the nuances in their developmental domains, what they hold, what they think, what they feel, what they express, what they are not able to do. So child is a child. So there might be few special educators also who has been attending here. It's no different that it's your child or the student. The child is your student also. So understand how is their domains, because any development, psychology says, child psychology says we have 5 domains, basically 5 domains. So when I look at my child, okay, I don't look at what they are. For me, immediately I will be able to see their domains. All I look at is only their domain. I don't see anything else. So in a span of time, and observation is the best thing what we can do. That is the one best method in the social science, wherein we can understand what is happening. So immediately look for those 5 domains. The 5 domains are motor or sensory. Okay, motor and sensory also it can be. Cognition, social, emotional, self-help skills. I have here we can also include self-help skills. When see a child in this domain, look at these as 5 pillars of the child. They are the major 5 pillars, okay? And we will have to build this pillar to make the learning concrete. So to make the learning concrete, this pillar should be strong. So we should know what each pillar means. How do they coordinate? How do they influence one another? How are they interlinked? How are they working alone? All this we should know, so that we understand the child better. So keeping these 5 pillars of motor and sensory, cognitivity, social, emotional, and also self-help skills, we describe a child as weaker, stronger, able to perform certain things, unable to perform certain things with respect to each domain. when compared to the set of children, or when compared to the set of population of this particular era. It is very important. There is no point comparing a child of today with 6 years with my childhood of 6 years. Never do that. As teachers, we as parents will be so tempted to do that. Don't do that, because with this era of so much of distraction, if a child is able to sit and study for a board exam for a half an hour or 1 hour, the child is doing a super job. We had no choice, we had no distraction. So we studying without a distraction is very different. So recently is what I finished my med a couple of years back. I found it very difficult to put my focus in. I easily was able to focus in my 10th and 12th and my graduation when compared to the recent thing, is because easily we get distracted. We get distracted by thoughts, we get distracted by the people around, we get distracted by the devices. So I was also preparing for the national eligibility test, we call it NET, which makes myself eligible to become an assistant professor and also a PhD scholar. So to prepare for it, it was a tedious, any typical exam like a NEET or any proper entrance exam is what the preparation is required for this too. So we should understand. So then I realized I am equally distractive like anyone else. My attention span is very, very low. So keeping all this in mind, so look at your child's these 5 pillars and see how we can develop these pillars. How is it contributing to the child at each point of time? So when we say motor and sensory, we also see children, there are hyper and hypo motor and sensory users. There are many who constantly keep moving, and through moving they process their activities, thinking and think. There are a few people who does not move a lot, stay in a place and also do. So both are, again, as how it's a hyper and hypo, extreme ends are always dangerous. So we should, as how we call about the black and the white, never we can be either black or either. We have to bring them to the gray area. We have no other go. We have to bring them, is because every situation in life is neither going to be a black or a white. So similar manner, we'll have to expose them and bring them to the set desired what is expected for their age. With respect to cognitivity, how well they use their cognitivity. Okay, they might have a very good cognitivity, but how well they use it, how well are they are able to show or express their cognitivity. Is there a need for them to express? Because most of our children have a very good cognitivity, but the thing is, they don't have a need to express it. Now, if they have a need to express it, we will get it. So we do see few children who has vertical interest and vertical growth in certain subject areas. So I have also worked with this gifted prodigy type of children. To give us an example, there was a 9-year-old student with me who was doing 9th standard. Okay, in 9 years, that is fourth grade level child is doing a 9th standard, and exceptionally the child will do science, very particularly biology. Okay, so then such children I love working it, because I can know what is happening in them. I'm also in a learning process as an educator. We are also in a learning process. We should know how are they able to have so much keen interest. So for a child of who is you just imagine, who is in ability to study in a 9th standard level, you put him in a 4th grade classroom and teach him about photosynthesis, what type of behavior and what kind of reaction will he give? Because he's all in the level and self-learning level, and to the level of they put a timetable for themselves. They will tell parents, I will study this, this is my interest. Okay, this is something which we can relate to. So that is why I gave you this interest. Something with our children, what we see is good in music, good in mathematics. Is often we see they are pretty good in mathematics compared to languages. Art forms, art they use it therapeutically, art they use it as an proper art as a skill. We see that. So cognitivity, we have to look in very different angles. How do they acquire the cognition? From where do they do it? how do they accumulate or learn and move one step over the other over different subjects. We have to keep an eye on how are they in different areas, how are they with people, how are they with self, how are they with areas of work, how are they with younger children, how are they with older children, how are they with the peer group, their cognition, how it is working. Next comes the social. Yeah, mostly social for our children is we who understand them better, the people in the family, first circle. Then also the second circle, grandparents, uncle, aunts. Of late, I see a lot of uncle, aunts participation also, a very welcoming thing. Being in the field, it's very, very welcoming. And one of the thing that we develop in my son also, social activity, is we are 9 of us in our house, not 1 or 2. So we are a big joint family. I enjoyed all the benefits of the joint family, being with them, actively participating. My in-laws, my sister-in-law, father-in-law, mom-in-law, equally part. So we did not have much strain, but not everyone are blessed with that on a regular basis. They are able to get it. Then our second circle of society in and around. So when my son used to go somewhere all alone by himself, there will be someone who keeps an eye on him on the road. If something goes wrong, they can call and tell me. I will be there. I will be at a distance, or sometimes may not be. I would have given him a task. He'll be doing it. But they are very alert. They also have an eye on my son, is because I've never felt bad of taking him out, even in those days of 2007 or 6 or 5. He is 2004 born child, and he got diagnosed quarter to 3. So denial was only to an extent of quarter to 3 till I decided to meet her and take a proper diagnosis. Was till then is what I was also struggling with the denial. Once they did the diagnosis and when they said he is in the risk of autism, I did not think about anything. We started therapy then and there. So then I had to take him out to different places. So whenever I'm taking him out, people are seeing. So many come and ask me what, why. I explain them, because more than them, I was in need of information. I did not know what to do with the child. We did not have social media those days. We were very small bunch of people, me, Chitra, Paul, and very small bunch of parents. We were of the same age group children around. So it was very difficult for us to gather information, to know what is it happening. No one to guide us. Also called the neurologists. They hardly had met children with autism, especially the ones with the high functioning. They don't know where to classify them. They never know to identify their overwhelmingness, what is happening. Sometimes they call that speeches echolalia. Sometimes they say, no, this is a meaningful speech. So they were also confused and equally confusing us. So this was the state which was going on. So socially, yeah, being a bigger group, he got quite a bit of social thing. So social is something which we have to give. Our children will refuse because of their communication deficit. They will not like to do it, but we'll have to see how we encourage it. A lot of social stories. We start from little by little and then do a lot of activities and see. And the next biggest area is emotional, which is neither not seen or addressed. Okay, emotional needs of both the parent and also the child. So what does emotional mean here? My child is listening to me. Ma'am, if I tell my child will sit for an hour and study, that is a red flag for me. That is a red flag for me. Because when you say, if I tell, okay, it should come from within. If it is not coming from within, okay, the child is having a baggage or a trauma developed. The child is going to throw up on a particular day, there is a temper tantrum or as a meltdown, which will be a huge thing for us to manage. Especially it will start from the teens, which we will never know for what are they doing what. Because if it is a tantrum, temper tantrum, at least we can know that they did not like a particular thing, that's why they are doing it. But if it is a meltdown, and some many a times they tell meltdown of something happened in 8 years, 6 years, 7 years, and to work on it, then look for a psychologist, use the technique. So emotional is is not addressed well, okay, which has to be given equal equal importance as much as how we give for the cognitivity and speech, because cognitivity and speech go hand in hand. Any parent who comes and sit to me, and my child does everything but does not speak, I want only speech, I want only speech. But when you look at the pyramid of learning, speech is the topmost which comes. Speech, language, and communication is what they mean. They are not just meaning just speaking solo syllabic words, not what they are expecting. They are expecting the child should be able to express their wants, needs, emotions, and things. That is the ultimate in a child's learning pyramid. So if you want to reach the ultimate, you will have to work on the fundamentals so stronger, and ensure that the fundamentals are right in place and give the right tools and weapons for them to have a good communication. So, and emotions have to be taken care. Next coming, all of us have a unique profile. All of our children do have a unique profile. So we should look at their neurological strength. What is their strength? We should know, and we should continue to develop their strengths. We should have ways to develop, because when you develop strength, it motivates them. It gives them a sense of belonging, sense they feel more confident, they feel happier, they know they are at least good in one or thing, because you may not say children that you are not good at, they sense it very well. And my parents come and say, ma'am, I never say that my child is bad, you're not doing good and thing. But a child, when doing an activity or a particular thing, they know it very well that they are not able to meet up the expectation of the adult who is around them. So that is the first point where they withdraw. They start to not to attend to the activity. So know their strengths, that will keep them really engaged and motivated. That is our our motivating tool to motivate them much further to learn anything new. Understand their weaknesses, their struggle areas of struggles, their hard areas where they really need attention, and how to solve those things. And beyond that is their vulnerabilities. Okay, weakness and vulnerabilities are very different. Okay, sensory, when it's a fine line difference between a sensory and a behavior. How do an adult understand what is a sensory, what is a behavior? Is my child doing it out of a sensory struggle, or is my child doing out of an behavior? Address first the sensory, try and see your tools, give them the sensory. If the child is not getting settled, then it is behavior. And with respect to behavior, stopping or avoiding behavior, as how we say prevention is the best thing what we can do with behavior. Okay, after behavior happened, then you do an ABC, you do a functional analysis, you do n number of things for a behavior. It is of least help. But the thing is, understand, they do give signs, they do give symbols. If we are keen noting that they bite their teeth, they show put legs foot down and tell I am not, they verbalize in as many ways. No, we ignore all these signs and then we say no, the child has shown a tantrum. Then that we should know what is their vulnerability, what do they feel as an individual, how well, how good they feel. So this also happens with my son in terms of social events, when he wants to go, when there were days that I insisted that you have to come. Now I don't insist much at all. It's because he's well aware of what he is. So on the days when he is coping up, he will come. On the days when he's not coping up, he does not feel good, or he thinks that he will not be able to make it up to that thing, he will say, no, I don't want to come. So I have given it to his choice, but I always observe the pattern. A no cannot be a no for a longer time, because that also pulls them to a comfort zone. So we'll have to keep and see whatever they have enjoyed, we'll have to put one or the other in the between and see, do they really mean it is a no, or are they avoiding it? So we should be aware of what their vulnerabilities are, and what their interests are. Based on that, we'll have to. So your child's profile is very important. It should be in your soft board at your home. Okay, as how this FBI people on a case investigation put in the center the child's photo and all the threads here and there and do it. if you can make a pictorial representation, an infographic about your child's understanding of your understanding of your child, okay, it will be really, really good. Is because we get to know new things about our children, we can keep adding to it. It will be nice that we can, if we can add, so that that will give a better understanding for us. And when anything is in front of us, it is so inviting for us to think more and more on it, brainstorm on it, have a discussion on it. So it's good. They will also learn it over a period of time. They'll learn it as a method to organize themselves and do it. Trust me, children silently learn a lot of things around what is happening. Okay, so they are no different. They learn what we do, and whatever we do in terms of organizing, structuring, and planning and things, they also try to do the same. So it's good to have your child's profile in front of you. So moving, as a special educator or an educator or a mother or a learner by myself, I have come across 12 ways of learning. I have put it in an infographic for you all. So 12 ways of learning. I'll share you this PPT. Just have an listen to this, that will do. So the first one is visual, the major organ which we need for visual. So first VAKT, all of us are very much aware of VAKT. So visual, the organ what we need is our eyes. Okay. So what type of thing will work for the visual learners are all which is respect to the pictures. Picture. Okay. Start with your pics. Picture representation, picture exchange, PCS. Picture exchange communication system. Okay. PECS is the best thing which will work for our children. If you can make sentences with PECS also, it's really good. The communication of the child really develops. Once the child is so comfortable handling PECS, gives to you, communicates to you well, or in terms of some thoughts, the child is already a verbal child. The child can talk and communicate well. There is no harm if your child is using a PECS there also, because as long as they are visual learners, they will be able to express to you on something which they cannot express to you verbally. A better level of language and communication is being expressed through pictures. So pictorial, graphical, visualization, all this comes under visual learning. The next is an auditory. They like to hear and learn. They are the ones who have language development, because as they are hearing over a period of time, the language would have, they are so keen to hear. So when you hear, your language automatically develops, as simple as. So they have better language compared to others. They are able to frame sentences, tell things, able to express their needs and wants, able to observe people, connect with. Their ears are all over the place and it works. So for them, learning is through listening. And the next is kinesthetic. Most of our children, we have seen they are on move, but still process information, move, but still learn, move, but still do the work. So movement, for them, movement, the body movements really works, wandering here and there. Then is the tactile. They need something to touch. They should have something in hand to process information. So bare hands, they find it difficult. If you give something in the hand, they hold it tight. They are able to process better. They are able to feel secured and things. So these people needs a lot of hands-on activity to work, engage themselves, and learn through tactile. The next one is sequential learner, who learns step by step. Okay. So one after another. Usually you see such children who do math well, they are all sequential learners. They typically love doing it. They, over a period of time, they will skip the steps and directly tell the answer, wherein we'll have to go and ask, tell me step by step. Because they do it so fast in their mind that steps are not being put in front of us. Answer comes, then we'll have to go reverse and then see what is in this step. This we'll have to ask them. And these sequential learners, you see, they are also good in music. Instrumental music, typically keyboard, works very well for them. So you will have a connection between the sequential learner mathematics. The one who's good in mathematics on a higher level or a higher secondary level, who had a sequential learning pattern, we'll see them, they to some extent take computer as a subject, geography as a subject. Okay, because geography in terms of is also a clear-cut factual information. As how in math 2 plus 3 is 5, geography also value we can describe, and we can also show them. So they are the ones who take the subject geography, computers, mathematics, instrumental music, especially something with a piano or a keyboard type of instrumental music. Then the next category we see simultaneous. Okay, they categorize things. They always do the big picture. They are bad at attention to detail. Okay, so the simultaneous people, when they are bad at the attention to detail, they really struggle in math. They are the ones who struggle in math, but they will get the big picture. So what exactly you're going to tell, they will be able to tell. So for example, you take an comprehension passage, you read to the child, or you make the child read the comprehension passage. They may pick one or two, the main character they will pick, the place they will pick. They may not be able to tell in detail what happened next. They will not be able to tell, but they'll be able to tell the big picture, where it has happened, that theme of the thing they will be able to say you. So they are the people who are called simultaneous readers. Next come verbal thinking. Okay, so you read, you hear, or you take information in any of the VAKT form, because keep the VAKT as your fundamental. All the rest goes on top of it. When you have your fundamentals really strong, that's why it is occupying in the first 4 places also. So if anyone is starting to work with something, see your strength of the child and work on these first 4 VAKT, and then move to the rest on. So verbal are someone who will think aloud. Okay, they will find connections, they will have a logical thing. This happened there, this happened there, this and this, they are connecting it. So such connections, they work on connecting part. They think on bigger aspects. Then next is interactive. So people, there are children who talk continuously talk, and they also want people to listen to them. They are neither tired. So in the course of learning, or whatever they have learned, they need people to hear to them. And whenever they are learning, they are holding things in their hands, they keep talking about it. They need active listeners on the other thing, and they are good with people, because as they are interactive, usually you see such children will be surrounded by older senior citizen people, because they are the ones who have time to sit and listen to the children. So they will be surrounded by, or they'll also be surrounded by younger children, not peer group, much younger group. They also may listen to them, so they enjoy talking. Next is logical. So they need reasons behind it. So I also came across a question, a parent asking, my child is not able to take anything imaginary, like a tooth fairy. Okay, a simple tooth fairy, which happens at the age of 6 or 7, when they start to lose their milk tooth. And when you introduce a concept of a tooth fairy, children cannot take it up. Our Santa Claus, children are not able to take it up. Okay, so these are the people who are logical, and they need a real-time thing, very factual informations in front of him. They reflect, where is it, how will they look, show me them, I want to touch them, feel them. They ask such questions. So they are mostly logical thinkers. The next category come direct experience. They learn things by direct experience. So if you are teaching a carrot or an tomato, so rather than teaching it by pictures, they enjoy or relate better in the shop or at the kitchen. So they would like to touch, feel, enjoy, smell, and do it. In the course of doing, they learn. Learn by doing. So that is the direct experience, what we see. Then the indirect experiences comes in terms of the demonstrations, they are good, they draw pictures or they make molds or they help in it, and they like to talk about it, how it is happening. So indirect experiences usually happens, we see that after 8 years of age, that there are also younger children with robots, with clay, they depict and show us through demonstrations that do happen. And the last one, when we are looking at, is this rhythmic, okay, rhythmic or musical, melodic people who need rhythm for everything. They need a background music which is going on. So if we look at this level ways of learning to the gardener's intelligence, okay, gardener's intelligence is mostly for the neotypicals. It'll work pretty well. But to my experience, I have seen learners of these types. And how do I evaluate this? I first evaluate myself in all the journey of anything new I learn, anything new I read, any new information comes to me, I put me in the first place. It's because at least I'm sure of what I am going to do. I at least have can build my self awareness. So we'll put myself, and I was really wondering what percentage do I use and what I. So if you see, I'm a verbal learner. I think aloud. Okay, I read something. I need time to think. I need time to connect those things, and I read a little more, little more. So I do also do a spiral approach. So not a vertical approach. I learn little by little overall, and then I come and make my fundamentals stronger. Like that, once when we see, I'm also a kinesthetic person, because no one person can just be one learner, one way of learning. We will definitely have more than different ways of learning. I realize my auditory learning is very low, and my attention span is very less. I've started a podcast, to listen to podcasts. It can be subjects or it can be literature, stories, depending upon my mood and my level of attention, what I can give in energy levels and things. So like that, just do this to you first. See what you were in your early 10 years, 1 to 10 years or 1 to 8 years, then between your 8 to 16 years, then you are 16 to 24 years. Do this to you and see, have you moved on? What made you to move? Understand it, because it will be much easier to do it on us rather on to anyone else. Then you can also check with your children who fall in which category, what do they really enjoy. You can associate them to the way how they learn it. There might be certain subjects that they learn in a particular way, but there might be certain subjects that they will learn in a different way. So then that gives you an thing, why do they do that, what do they get out of it. All that questions you can keep it, because whenever your question, your why is strong, you're going to figure the answer for it. So it's very, very important to ponder on anything, to have your why very, very, very strong. So keep your why strong, so that then you'll start figuring out answers. The answers are all around us. It's just we have to figure it out, what it is and how it makes sense. So keep your why strong. Absolutely, the main agenda of the session itself is our why is our kids to know. So kids are driving us. Kids are making us to listen, to think. So that's why it's important to learn, relearn, and unlearn. So at different instances, we'll have to do all this. These are the different learnings what I have come across. They also use it of late as an approach, because no one approach is working well. So holistic approach is what which has been suited, or the integrated approach. They all give the same meaning. So if you pick and choose 4 and 5 of it, it will be really good. Give an integrative approach. Someone who is able to do 10 approaches, 10 of these ways of learning for their particular project or a learning or an work or a task, they'll be able to do it without, in the absence of one or another also. So one comes in place of other, and so suffice it, and we will be able to do it much conveniently. they will have a smoother learning process. I hope you're all with me. Shall we move on to the question answer session?
I am one quick question.
Yeah.
So, if a person is non-speaking, so can they still fit into several of these categories?
Definitely, they will fit in. Even to be very non-speaking, we'll keep aside. I'll give you a very simple example. I do work with children with visual impairment because as a my cross disability thing, I also teach Braille and abacus, Taylor frame. I have learned sign language, Indian sign language. But children with visual impairment, okay, we may think, what will they visualize? What will they visualize? Okay, but a child with a visual impairment, their major input comes through auditory and tactile. Their major inputs. So they start to form images. Okay, what we call imaginary images about them. Okay, when you give a square to them, when you give a circle to them, when you give a triangle, they touch and frame and form shapes, right? Using these shapes, they can do an visualization very well. So when I say you visualize you visualize a triangle, they will be able to do that. A child is holding a triangle in hand, they will be able to do that. See, even a child without a vision can visualize. So for non-speaking children, what we can do is, non-speaking children, they are all stronger in a visual manner. They are all mostly 99% non-speaking children come under the visual category of learning. Give them pictures, a picture. Okay, replace it with words later on. Their world is fully made up of pictures, and they can hold innumerable amount of picture than what we think or what we do. Okay, because so many pictures are there, we get overwhelmed. We need a condensed one word rather than to have multiple pictures for it, because it becomes very difficult for us to remember. But that is how they look into it. So it is very important, strengthen their strengths. So their strength is visual, strengthen it. Through that, you will be able to explore other ways of learning. I hope I answered.
Yes, ma'am. Yes.
Okay, so we'll move on to the question answer session, and then I'll keep this question answer open for all of you. So the first question, Bindu, can you read?
Yeah. Can a child have multiple learning styles? If so, how to use them to teach the child?
Absolutely, a child should have multiple learning styles. That is what we are telling. It is much more easier to have multiple learning styles rather than having very simple VAKT also. Okay, go beyond VAKT. VAKT is the basic thing what we are looking at. You should go more and beyond, so that one or the other comes in place to help them when they are in need of the learning process. So give them exposures. It's all about, we as parents and educators, we don't do anything else other than giving them environment and exposures. We put the child in the place, we see how the child enjoys. If the child is enjoying, we continue to do it. If the child is not enjoying, we question ourselves, what has made the child not to enjoy this? So is there any prerequisite which I have to fill in, and then come there? So it becomes much more easier. So it is good to have multiple ways of learning. It will really help them to learn.
My next question is, my 7-year-old loves math and can sit with it over an hour. When he has to read stories or poems and comprehend, he finds it difficult and runs away, maybe because it involves writing more. Please suggest how to help him.
They are enjoying math, they are doing math for an hour, good. Let us keep that as their strength. So let us come to the area where they struggle. You have mentioned here reading, you have mentioned here comprehending, you have mentioned here writing. They are three big things to be achieved at the same time. Okay, why don't you split it? So when your child is not ready to read to himself, okay, sit and read. Why don't you read to the child and see how well is the child receptive language is, how well is the child enjoying the process? Because even an receptive reading encourages the process of reading on a longer run. So first they'll listen, then they read, then is what they write. You cannot see equal amount of development on all the three. The first comes more, then the comes next, then comes the next. This is like our receptive and expressive language. A child takes in so much, then only start to express. Not necessarily the child who is receiving immediately is reflecting it out. No. So similar manner, what you have said as reading, stories, poem, and comprehend and write, I think that is a too big task. You have to divide the task into simpler tasks for him, make it clear for him what is expected out of him. If he's too tired, does not want to read, it's okay. Multiple times you can read to the child. That's nothing wrong. As long as the child is listening. Listening goes far ahead of the reading. So once when the child is enjoying, listening, enjoying, getting a hang of it, hook of it, then the child will start to read by themselves also. Next.
I have a 8-year-old son. He wants to sit as long as he's reading or writing. When I have replaced the chair with the gym ball to sit and read and write, still wants to eat. School will not allow this. So how to handle this? Please help.
Yeah, this behavior we should definitely break. We should break this behavior. It is not encouraging to take both the behavior hand in hand. What happened is we are not sure why the child is doing it, because he would have find a way of coping mechanism while reading and writing. He's so frustrated. Might be okay. I'm giving an option. He's frustrated. He is overwhelmed, anxious. So when he eat food, he might be finding it as a coping mechanism. Okay, because of the pressure given. Give a break as good as for 3 to 4 weeks for reading and writing, and see how he is. Does he still, when he eats, does he ask for reading and writing? You give it a break, because continuously when it is happening, avoid those circumstances which will push him to do eat along with reading and writing. Even if he's not reading and writing for a month, it's okay, fine. Let him not read. You can read for him. We can do activities together. A lot can be done in form of learning. Not necessarily reading and writing is the only form of writing learning. We can do a lot others, as how we have described in the 12 forms, and see, give that behavior a break. If required, meet a psychologist or a special educator who will be able to address it. Does it also happen with them? We'll have to see, because children go related with the environment, with the person. When it is a behavior, it is with that particular person which it happened, in that particular place, in that particular time. So behavior happens on all the three. The three things which comes with the behavior is exactly to that particular person, in that particular place, for that particular activity. So if you change the place, is there a change? You look at. If you change the person, if there is a different approach, you look at. If you change the activity with the same person and same place, if there is a different reaction, you look at. So read and try to understand why do they do it. Give a break, take professional help. These are bigger things, because when we are into the problem, we will not have so much rationality to think. We need someone else to think for us. It might be such a small thing, but we will not be able to think for ourselves. So get someone who will do that, who will think, preferably a professional. Why do we tell it as a professional? Is not many have seen our children in the earlier generation, so their suggestions may not be right. They may be giving it in good intentions, but it may not be reliable. So do take professional help.
So, ma'am, you recommend seeing a special educator for this?
Yeah, definitely. They can see a special educator who is having years of experience, not the fresher ones. The fresher ones are not even to the level of a mother. So they will now be different from what you tell. You know at least what your child is. They'll not even know that also. So fresh ones, you leave apart. They need a lots of training, lots and lots and lots of training. They'll have to take a lot of internship. They'll have to work under senior special educators, try to understand why is it happening. This is same like a medicine. It is like that, because when you try to understand the wholesome body organs and things, no, it's similarly we are also trying to understand a child's full developmental domains and everything. So they'll have to take that internship, be under a senior special educator, try to work and understand those things. It's not that fresh out of the college with a degree and even with an RCA certificate will suffice it. So it is good if they can take it from a senior special educator or a psychologist, if they can break the behavior.
Yeah, sure, ma'am. That helps. My son is 15 years old. He can do maths up to 4th standard level. He can frame sentences on his own and type in iPad. But I have to tell him every time to type, then only he will do it. How to make him understand to complete his work without giving too many instructions?
See, if you find difficulty, if you find huge gap in any of the learning process, any of these things, like a 4th standard level is 9-year-old level, 15-year-old. So we clearly see here 6 years gap of things happening. And after insisting of repeated verbal prompt, is the child doing it? First, you should see whether you have made the child dependent, prompt dependent. That is very, very important, because it goes with all good intention of the mother. Okay, the child get reassurance, want reassurance for everything. Okay, only if the mother nods, the child will do it, or the mother have to say all reassuring activities. Only if they say, they will proceed, is because they are not sure of what they are doing it, or they have been so used to the prompts. Second is, if not any of these things, then next possibility in this situation will be prerequisites are not fulfilled. Okay, the child, you say to the level of 4th grade level, when you say to the level of 4th grade level, I have also met parents and children. They come and tell to me, ma'am, my child is in 4th class, going, coming, doing, reading and everything. They are not able to even identify colors. Okay, so to one particular person alone, if they are doing it, we cannot agree, because they have to learn to generalize. Or we might be understanding our children pretty well. So there is a prerequisite skills which is not acquired there. There is a lot of missing which is been happening. So we'll have to analyze from these two angles, either prerequisites not achieved, or too much of assurance given to the child and made him so dependent on the prompt. Today, the entire world of special education is talking about prompts, because we are so used to giving prompt. Now we are wondering, how do we prompt fade? What we do it? So in the Paka special education terms, we have something called a task analysis, wherein we take the child from a physical prompt hand to hand over to an independence level. So it crosses multiple steps: physical prompt, model prompt, verbal prompt, a clue prompt, then independent, or in between again they will again jump back to the physical prompt. They will bounce back and do. So when we do it as a practice of special education, and when teachers record it at every interval of time, a special educator is supposed to note in a logbook what type of prompt the child is taking. So for a longer period, when we see a child is taking a physical prompt or a verbal prompt, then we are making him prompt dependent. We should analyze, we should think aloud, we should think that why is the child needing this type of prompt. So what should I do to make him move from one prompt to another, so that he reaches the level of independence? So that also is something which we'll have to think. Fifth one.
My son is 11 years. He has difficulty in visual scanning. There is a tendency to neglect the left side, sometimes misses the center when the array is big. How do I improve his scanning? Any compensation can be done for this?
This is very much addressable. Okay, with respect to anything, when our children are struggling, first we have to see whether if it is associated with any of their organs or sense organs or something which can be easily addressed. This is something which can be covered through vision therapy. I don't know where exactly they stay. Our Shankara Eye Hospital has a vision therapy center. They address and work on this. Senior special educators also work on vision therapy activities. They may not have the devices, but they will do it in the worksheet level. So if your child is requiring the device and clinical setup and things, yes, you will have to go to the hospital. If your child is not in that level and has moved to the worksheet level, and then we can work on it, we can, special educators can also work on these angles. But this is very much doable. Vision, where to, how to do the scanning, how to expand this scanning, and all of us come with a minimum level of scanning. Then as we increase towards our left and the right is what our scanning level keeps increasing. So it can be given as a daily activity to the child with a little of 1 centimeter or a half a centimeter increase on both the edges of reading or the activity what they do. Automatically the scanning process helps in. But if the child, this particular child has to be addressed by a proper clinician in the vision therapy center or a senior special educator. Okay, do get the help from them.
Yes, ma'am. So next one is, my daughter is 6, does not like anything that is make believe, like stories with animals talking, magic, miracles, etc. It seems like she cannot imagine anything. Will this lead to problems with comprehension?
This is what the scenario I said when we discussed on indirect, direct learning. I think we discussed the same thing. This is the example, because they don't even imagine, they cannot imagine in terms of tooth fairy. All what they see is what they believe. Logical learners actually. What they see is what they believe. If they don't see, they find it very difficult to believe it. It's good for a 6-year-old child. It's okay. We are not in a troublesome thing, but we have to start teaching to work on abstract. It's very important that we start to work on what she is right now is in the actual of the factual level. Now we'll have to start giving small amount of abstracts, and we'll have to see how, because it will definitely affect her comprehension. Our schooling system, our education system beyond grade 6 involves a lot of abstract understanding. It's very difficult at that stage to go and start it. So start at a very young age, as good as 6, with these things. See how they can relate to it, or if they can close and imagine and do, because the prior part of abstract thinking is imagination. Okay, if I can imagine that you hold a pen in the hand. So pen is something what is concrete, hand is something what is concrete. It's only imagining. Okay, imagine this as a magic wand and do it, or imagine this as a comb and comb your hair. See, that also we can do it. Start with small imagination. Do a lot of role plays, because role play will help a lot here to convert a child, or to start to have a thinking of abstract role play. So role by imagination there also happens, like a doctor, like a teacher, like an whomever do they admire or talk about and think, papa, mama, doggy, catty, whatever it can be, they can imagine that and they can do it. So have a lot of play with imagination. On the go, you will be able to easily convert it to abstract thinking.
Thank you. That's a great suggestion. We homeschool our 9-year-old child. He does not sit for more than 10 minutes for reading or writing activities. He has to be on the move. How do we teach him when he refuses to sit?
He is an auditory learner. He is an auditory learner and also a kinesthetic learner, because kinesthetic and auditory more or less they come together, more or less. Okay, so you see if you can read, if he can take it up. Okay, so that means some sort of information is going by listening, some sort of information. So if we let him walk and listen and walk for half an hour and sit and read for 10 minutes, again listen and walk for half an hour, sit and read for another 10 minutes. Over a period of time, this 10 minutes can become 15 minutes, 15 minutes can become 20 minutes, 20 become minutes can become. So when we go, so as good as how do we start teaching a child? Okay, so when a child comes to a special education to me, where do I start the child is? If the child is in 3rd grade level, I never start with 3rd grade level. I'll go to 2nd grade level. Give them that comfort, make them that they know everything with me. They start thinking, oh, with this auntie, with this ma'am, I don't have struggle, I'm able to answer everything, amma. They used to tell such things. This auntie's question, I'm able to answer it. You know, amma, I answered all the questions with this auntie. We do hear such things from the children who are very verbal and who can speak and express here. So this is also what is happening with our children who don't express themselves well. So always go one level lower, give them that comfort. So whenever you do a challenging activity or an activity where they are not really good at, pamper them, motivate them. That is our key. Okay, so when we start doing anything new, when we want to learn anything new, how do we pamper ourselves? How do we motivate ourselves? Every small success we really motivate. No, that's same with our children. So motivate them when they are not really good at something. If he can listen and do, try that manner, or if he can do in any of the other ways of learning which he's good at, let him do that 20 and again this 10. As how I said, with respect to special education, we are the one who will have to do a lot of work than our children. We should know how to mix and match, how to combine things together, how much of work, how much of work chair or a table activity, how much of floor activity, how much of relaxing activity. Before even the child gets tired, I say, you can go for your relaxing chair. So the child thinks this person understands me better. We'll get those signs, we'll get that frustration, we'll get that the child is getting restless and things. So before the child is really able to express it or show or put out a tantrum, we at one step ahead, 1 minute or one even a half 30 seconds ahead, we tell you can go have a relax, I'll call you, you'll have to come back. Because at that time they are at the best of their listening ability also, they will come back, they will come back. So we'll have to sandwich our new learning with our existing learning and see how they are able to learn the best.
Ma'am, would it help to ask, tell the child how to ask for a sensory break when he's sitting through a writing or reading activity?
Throughout, for all of us, okay, all individuals, especially in this era, this period of time, sensory break is very, very important. Sensory should be taken as important as our water and food and things what we take care of our children. Is my child sensorily addressed? Sensory breaks are more valuable. But the thing is, again, what happens is they become overly dependent on the sensory break. The sensory becomes a behavior. So if I want to study for 10 minutes, you need to give me a break for 10 minutes. I have to roam around and only come. By the time they get accustomed to something, we'll have to break the schedule. If we don't break it, we will be giving, this is like as good as a child is, we are hungry. Don't even go for the child. In such difficult situation, put you in the spot and think how you will react to it. Okay, I'm damn hungry. I'm eating my first idli. It is really good. It suffices my hunger. Second idli, it's good. Third idli, it's good. I am full. I can stop it there. But what do I do? Now my sensory is over. I'm eating my fourth idli, that is my behavior. I'm taking my fifth idli, that is my behavior. So here it is this boundary of sensory and behavior. There is no concrete boundary. We cannot tell concrete at every point of time. It's very difficult for us to sense it. Similar way, it is very difficult for us to do it for a child unless or until we keenly observe and keep a note of it. Certain things, what I did yesterday's session to make my student comfortable, to make a rapport. Once the rapport is made, all that I gave them as an reinforces or all the coziness or thing, whatever I gave, I slowly start to withdraw. I'll withdraw it. I'll not give any more those comfort. They don't need that motivation. They are coming to the core of learning. But what we do, we give, we keep on giving it. Then the child comes to a stage that the child throw tantrum to get what they need. So this is the difference between a sensory and a behavior. So we'll have to do that. We'll have to see how they will. Which question was that? Question number 7, right?
Yes.
On the move. Sensory breaks will really help, not only for them, for us also. We can also accommodate it with a sensory diet. Diet is not what we eat. It can be the different type of sensory, proprioceptive sensory activities, kinesthetic sensory activities, tactile sensory activities. Whenever we say diet, everyone assumes it as an intake. Okay, so you can take the child for a park, you can have an agenda, you can give 10 or 15 slide swing or a slide. Swing gives you a proprioception. Okay, if the child is a proprioceptive seeker, you can start with the positive note. Okay, and then you can take the child to the other areas where he's not a seeker. But if your child is not a proprioceptive seeker, sandwich it with what he likes first and then what he does not like. Motivate him on the areas when he is doing whatever he's not liking. Give your full attention to the child, okay, because attention is one form of reinforcement. Give your attention to the child. The rest, when the child is doing the preferred activity, you can relax, you can have a chit chat, you can look here and there, you can also do it, it's not a matter. But when the child is doing something new, and it is also our need that the child have to excel or learn to do it, so we give our attention and we try to give as much as reinforcement and get it done.
Next one is, our 10-year-old never looks at the book while reading or writing, always looks away. Is it good to hold the book at eye level? How do I know that attention is there? The child is paying attention, that is.
One is the child may not be able to take wordings. He or she might be a visual learner. Okay, so check with pictures if the child is showing some attention levels. Whatsoever you do, take it to the eye level will not make it happen, because it should come from within. Okay, it's like that example what they give about the egg. If the egg breaks from within, a new life comes out, a chick is coming out. When egg is broken from the outside, okay, there is no life in it gets like that. It is anything which has to be long lasting, okay, anything which has to be independent, how to happen on a longer run, please try to understand it should come from within. So then what you will have to do is, you will have to see why is this not happening. So what if I do, will this happen? So instead of giving wordings, if I give pictures, will my child attend to it? You may find it much way lower to your child's level for a 10-year-old child to give picture and do it. But see, if that is the matter, then you can give for some days you can have picture reading alone. Then you can replace a few main pictures of like subject, verb and things as words. Okay, put the passage like that, develop those things with the children, make reading and writing more meaningful and more enjoyable for the child. Then see if the child is attending to it.
Those are some great tips. Thanks. The next one is, my son is 7 years old. He's minimally speaking. He's finding it difficult to learn alphabets and numbers. Should we pursue regular academics or focus more on functional academics and vocational skills?
Okay. So 7 years is too early to tell for a pre-vocation. A good age is between 8 to 11 years for a pre-vocation to tell. Before that, our parents, all of us should understand there is something called an educable category and a trainable category. Okay, so I think she's mentioning about whether my child is not in the educable category, that is why he's struggling to get himself educated. Can I straight away go to the trainable category without wasting much of my time? Okay, it can also be that. We should not feel regretted later. So we should see what are the prerequisite skills required for academics. Their visual perception, their auditory perception, their attention span, all that we should work and see where do they stand. And then also we get to a number. So as a special educator will be able to assess this and tell with few observation sessions. With respect to special educators like psychologists, we don't have tools, scientific tools. We don't have. All our tool is observation. Okay, the more the number of the child is with us, we connect the child in different environment. So usually children who come to me for observation or do it, I give them observation in my office space, in different environment. I observe them in classroom, in playground, along with friends when they are thing. I ask videos from parents, candid videos, how they are doing it. So we'll have to see whether the child has the prerequisite pre-academic skills. If not, we'll have to equip the child with the pre-academics and see if he shows interest in numbers and alphabets. Most probably they will show. And if they are not showing it on a longer run, you can consider the child to be a trainable. Okay, and there is something called prerequisite for skills. Learning skills, there is a thing that is imitation. Imitation is very much needed for any skill for that matter. Imitation, on task behavior, sitting tolerance, again attention over there. All these are very much needed. So we can work on the pre-vocational skills, which is needed for the child, and equip them and put them in the vocational. So look for whether the child is an educable or trainable.
Yes, ma'am. 13-year-old non-speaking boy starts hurting self when asked to read or do an activity together, likes to bounce on ball all day or swing, not interested in math, reading or writing. Please help.
So one of the task avoidance, or once when they realize, especially in between the ages of above 10, 9 and above, you see, they know the pressure is coming. They are giving me a pressure which I am not really good at, which I don't want to do. So they put it, we can put it as a task avoidance, that they start hurting. Okay, so whenever the injurious behavior is starting, that is first self hurt will not start. First it starts to hurt others. When they are doing that, I tell the parents, this is the red flag. Okay, because self injury once started, they will repeatedly do it again and again. It's because they get to do it. They get to do it. They always have them with them. With respect to hurting others, what will happen if that particular person is gone, or if that particular person is not there? They may not hurt. That hurting behavior is easily, we can fade away the hurting behavior. But if they start self injury, there are parents, when the child starts hitting others and biting, beating and things, they'll keep the child's finger on the child's mouth and tell, you bite yourself, you hit, then you will know what pain means. No, that is not the right way of doing it. It's because you are giving so much access for the child to hurt themselves, and their body organs comes along with them wherever they are going, right? So they can get to beat themselves, and self injury starts as good as a task avoidance, as a pressure. We'll have to immediately address it. Some children use it as a real blackmailing mechanism. If you do this, I will do. So I have worked with a girl. If you teach me, I'll poke my own eyes. She'll keep the pencil on the tip, here. How will I let go? If I let go, it will become a behavior. If I don't let go, she'll poke her eyes. So we'll have to give a break to that task, that person, that work, and we'll have to work on the psychological angle of the child. From where is the child getting it? Make the child forget. If they're not studying, also fine. If they lose their eyes, it's very difficult for us. So then we'll have to work around, take a setback, go with the pace of the child, and see. But they will keep doing this at different stages of their life. Once they learn to do it, they will do it at different. So it's good that a proper behavioral management program is being done, not only ABA. Okay, I would like to say, so behavior modification or behavior management is a very big uh, area or a scope of study. Under that, one of the subdivision is only ABA. So people, when they think of behavior, they only think of ABA. No, there are a lot of other ways of doing a behavior modification and management than ABA. Some other day we will discuss this in detail, because this itself is a very huge topic. So don't ever assume that my child is having a behavior, I'll have to put him only to go through the ABA. And many a times we don't find it successful also. So then we let go of the behavior management and the modification. So ABA is only a part of it. There are a lot of other ways that we can do it. A senior special educator, a psychologist of well aware also will be able to give you in tips, will be able to take sessions. Children on the high functioning angle can also take CBT. Lower functioning, CBT functioning is making it possible is a little difficult, because they will need to have a basic cognition to apply the CBT principles and things. I do that. I do it to myself. Whenever I started with CBT, first I started for me. As how I say, anything I do, I first start with me. Even if I go and attempt a questionnaire for anything, I evaluate me first, then I do it to understand where and what exactly it means. So CBT, I do it on me. I find it very useful. I am a person who need that logical thinking to overcome struggles. I do also work with high functioning children. It is pretty, and I also do work with other mental illness people, CBT. It is pretty much happening as a part of my counseling, because I have also completed my post-graduation diploma in counseling. So as a part of that, I'm been practicing these things.
Our daughter is 10 and writes in very big font size. The words don't fit in the question paper in the exam or in the worksheets. So we did OT for many years. Okay, we did many years of occupational therapy, but did not help her write small. How to work on this?
So to make them write small, you will need concrete boundaries. Okay, put boxes, that max book boxes type boxes, no, and tell them to write. Start the box with the same size of your font size of your child. For example, if your child writes in a font size of 28, okay, your box also keep it 28 at home when you practice. Over a period of time, you reduce two. So 28, you reduce to 26. The child will think, I am fitting in the same thing also. So some amount of psychological tactics also we should use to handle it. It's not always the thing. This is how our parents used to tell, no, give that sugar size tablets and things, and tell, you take this, your stomach pain will go, you will be able to overcome it. It's like that. We can very well fade it and come. So from the 28, you make it 26. Let the child touch the boxes and write 26. Then make it 24. Then make it 20. Over a period of time, you will be able to work with it if that is a struggle. Or on the other end, if the struggle is with the fine motor. See, if the child is having a very good gross motor, the child will write it big. If the child is not having the sufficient fine motor skills, the child will still continue to write big. So work on the fine motor if that is the case. Okay, your occupation therapist will definitely be able to help it, but you should ask the right question. The problem is we should ask the right question to the professionals. Not all professionals, because based on the question you ask is what they are answering. Not all professionals cross think, is this what they meant versus what they asked. Okay, all of them will not do that. They will answer to your question. They will not think one step inside, and then I think this parent meant this but asked this. Okay, so give all possibilities. For that, your observation of your child's profile, you should know really well. You should give instances. In this instance, my child is doing like this. In this, my child is doing. Why is it so contradictory? Ask such questions to professionals. Okay, challenge their thinking ability also. How are we able to do this in this field? We involve ourselves and do so much of research and development and do with our child is because our children are challenging, right? If our children are not challenging, we may not be equipped enough. Similar manner, you equip yourself, ask challenging questions, put questions in such a way that connect like these and ask. Because all the places where I have met the professionals, I have a very good form of observing what I do. So in terms of even in terms of time management, I put it in graph. I put the behavior also in graph and show them these are the changes. They'll ask me, how did you learn to do this? Because I myself is a statistician. So my skills of statistics, I'm implementing it over here and I'm representing it. So ask the right questions to the professionals. Give them pondering questions, brainstorming questions, ask in such a way. Before that, you should get really involved with the child. If we are really fully involved, know our child's profile, we will be able to ask the right questions also.
Great. My son is 4.3 on speaking autistic with hyperactivity. How do I ascertain his learning style, if he's auditory, visual, kinesthetic, etc.? He shows no interest in writing, though he likes to scan books. He seems to like visuals and does not listen to us sometimes when we read or talk to him. So I'm confused how best to teach him.
As how it is said, he is a visual learner. Start with visuals. Strengthen his visuals. Increase more and more. Increase a subject, adjective, verb. Make the sentences with the visuals. Increase his visuals. Over a period of time, you will see he is also interested in other parts. Along with the visual, start as small letters. Like if it is a cat, have CAT cat, and they will start to do a sight reading. Visual readers always start as sight readers. They don't go phonetically. They are two different type of people. They don't go or learn phonetical awareness. They will not go phonetically. So phonetics have no scope with our visual learners. Mostly we start with visuals. Then we have sight word learning. With sight word, you will see they have a tremendous capacity to hold the sight words. If I and you can hold only 100 or 150 sight words, they can even hold 1500 or 15,000 also. They have an extreme end for it. So capture, tap their potential on that, and see, fade away the picture. Now have only the words as a bird with sight. And this is not going to happen in a week or a 2 week or a 3 week. This may even take a decade to happen. Okay, it all goes step by step. So then you will see, having one area to be stronger, you can bring in other areas of work. Moving on to next question.
In the previous question, the child is only 4, right? So does
Yeah.
it,
Yeah,
as he
that is
grows,
also a factor. That is also a factor. They can explore pretty. Another 2-3 years, they can have visual learning only. A lot of visual learning, and find strength, give solace to the child, bring in happiness to the child. Show a lot of pictures. Okay, picture books, pictures, sentence formation. Those Velcro strips, whatever we do, no Velcro. Even I want, all that can be. They can use AAC. Now that we have so much in place. Picture, it's a PEX, we can use it if comes from a family where they cannot really afford for it. You can still hold on to PEX, which is easy to handle and work on. But if they can afford for it, they can also move to an AAC, get herself trained, or get guidance from the trained professionals how to do AAC with the child, and see how through visuals they can improve the language and communication of the child also, a receptive and expressive language, and also learning process. 4.3 is really young.
Yes, yes. My son is 5.10 years, very restless even after physical activity. I'm unable to make out his style of learning, haven't been able to progress in academics and other functional skills.
Okay, so the check for if the child has an ADHD also. Okay, because ADHD is a very common comorbid condition which comes with ASD or with the special needs for any matter. And the child is having an ADHD also will have emotional dysfunctioning also. They may have a lot because they wanted to do something, their body is not cooperating for it. So have a clear understanding of it, take a proper psychoeducational evaluation, take them through it. We have pretty good people in Bangalore who does a very good job, right from St. John's and things. You can very well go for it. Have a proper analysis in place, have a plan. They will give you a suggestions what and where they stand, because it looks for me more than one condition the child is holding. The child may have a requirement on an neurodiverse, and also might have a other requirement on an ADHD. So we have to rule away that and understand where the child stands.
My son is 7.5 years old. When concepts are taught to him, like in maths or other subjects, in the beginning he tries to avoid it and hesitant to learn until he understands it. How to handle this?
Pamper, in the beginning, pamper the child, motivate the child, because anything new, everyone hesitates. Anything new, everyone. So keep your motivating tools only for the beginning. Don't overuse your motivation tools and decrease the value of the motivation tools. Keep it, you know that you will need it. Anything new you teach, only then you use those techniques, including your attention towards the child, because many people does not know, and adults giving an attention to a child itself is a reinforcement. Okay, so they take it for granted, they are not aware of it. So whenever the child is able to do already achieved a task, you need not attend the child, you can withdraw, so that the child is moving from co-regulation to a self-regulation. The child is going to a better learning, that the child is able to manage and learn by himself. We are paying way for the child to go to the next level. So whenever it is new, be prepared for it. It is new, be prepared that you will be facing a tantrum. Have number of tools in hands as motivators. No single individual in the world works without a motivator. It might be you, it might be me. All of us need acknowledgement, motivation. It's all that each of us require in a different manner. And all of us also needs different things at different phases of life. In the initial stages of life, we may need a different motivator. As we go on, our motivators are different tools, but every single person needs motivation. Let us not undermine the power of motivation in it. Pamper them, give them the attention. They'll not know it in the initially, but over a period of time, children also do pick it up. So anything new, they will ask for the new, for the attention, for the motivation.
My son is 7.5 years, knows to write and we can understand it, but could not write within 4 lines. How to help him?
Writing in 4 lines, if you have any specific reason why he should write in 4 lines, if it is there, it is fine. But it's all because everyone is writing in cursive and writing in 4 lines. My child also want to write in 4 lines. I don't think it makes any. As long as his handwriting is legible and good, it's good. None of us hardly we write. Okay, even so-called professionals who go to the college, and we also have limited our assignments and everything to typing, and so writing is going off. I agree, writing is a very good activity. It stimulates us very well. Okay, and the prerequisite skills required for writing is a lot of motor activity, especially in terms of crawling. The children who have difficulty in writing, you give them a lot of crawling activity, or children who have difficulty in writing, if you have seen, they would not at all have crawled when they were young, or they would have crawled comparatively very little compared to others. They'll not even crawl, they will drag themselves and come. That type of crawling also would have happened. So this is coming from the science of brain gym. Okay, I'm as a brain gym consultant myself. So this is what I learned. Any writing activity. So for that, we have all the tunnels where they have to crawl and go and take and come. No, so when they are given that crawling activity, and if children are very sensitive to crawl on the floor, give them that mats, a yoga mat or something as a cushion. Rather, don't stop them not to crawl. Give them some cushion so that you encourage them to crawl. So what happens is when someone is crawling in a brain, the neurons are parallel. The crawling neurons and the writing neurons are parallel. So what happens when they are parallel? If one is getting stimulated, a partial stimulation happens to the next one. Okay. So to have a stimulation on the writing, if you crawl, a partial stimulation is good enough. It's good if we can get at least a partial stimulation rather than nothing. Something is better than nothing, right? So that can be something which we can think and connect everything to motor. You are overwhelmed, you are tired, you are exhausted, go for a run, do a sensory diet, do a sensory activity. Connect everything to motor. Motor activity have a lot of answers for all our struggles. You have struggle in academics, you have struggle in reading, you have struggle in writing. Again, there is a connection in the motor activity. You have language coordination thing. Again, you can go back to the motor activity. This itself, we can have 1 hour session where and what connections we can work with and then. So motor activity is the best. You will always see, these CEOs, people at the high end level, they hit the gym. They never fail to do motor activity. They go for a run, they hit at the gym, they do some activity, because that the more you do the motor activity, the more you become, you're able to manage all struggles or situation thrown on you. And with the sedentary lifestyle, what we are all going through, we are going through a very little of motor activity. So it's important that give them a motor activity and see how it helps them to write. If the child is writing pretty well, legible and good, understandable by the child, by the mother, by the teacher, by a third person, I think we should not go for 4 lines. There is no need. Unless or until you want to make the child, or the child wants himself to be him or her to be a calligrapher or something, that is a different thing altogether. So let's concentrate on something else, by too much into one angle.
Yeah, ma'am, it looks like more a task coming from school.
Writing the 4 lines. I think if parents also put across that, why should you write in a 4 line, ma'am? Why don't we write as long as it is legible? There are teachers and management who are listening. It's not like a decade ago. Things have changed a lot, and they are also started to accept because they see a lot of children. They see their own children. How many special educators, being in the special education, get special children also? So they are coming. They are coming in terms with management is coming in terms. I know many children who go to school just for socializing alone. Academics are done at home. Academics are done with special educators. They go to socialize and come. Good aspect. It's good that the school is welcoming them on the days of exam, on the days of thing. They tell them the child can stay at home or find something else to do so that they don't find having a meaningful activity to be done in school. Well and good. Socializing aspect also, because we need a crowd. Where will we go for a crowd? Ultimately, all of us have become like one child at home or maximum two children at home. We never tends to see a crowd. So good if they can have a social thing. Schools are becoming more understanding. Parents are, if they open up and tell openly rather than hiding and things, if they tell this is what the situation, and keep your expectation very realistic. That's very important. Expectation, realistic, practical. There was a parent who was rejected from a school and they were going. They eventually met me on the road. They said, ma'am, my child is refused from the school. I find my child is 4.5 years. Nothing he did to his classmate. He just with the pencil touched here, touched on the cheek. Okay, I said, what if the child has touched 2 inch above? The child has lost the eyes. See, this is how we are. We should be empathetic to the other child also. Keep it realistic. What you're telling, does it make sense? For a child to touch here with the pencil, how long will it take to touch on the eyes? A child's sense organ is lost. We are seeing on the other end, when children don't have sense organ, how much do they struggle with? Given a sense organ, if someone is damaging it, how bad it is. And we can never allow that to happen. So let us have realistic goals. Let us be empathetic, be more meaningful and working towards our child, but also empathetic towards others.
That's
Do
great.
you have any more questions?
Anyone from the participants here who would like to ask, excuse me, any questions?
Yeah, Rupika, you can ask.
Hello, ma'am. Thank you so much for this session. It was very informative. So let's say the child is visual, understands by demonstration, etc., etc., has many learning styles, but is also very keen. He has a very keen requirement, or should I say, he's motivated only with the larger group of peers.
Okay.
He will study and be naturally motivated when with a peer group. So would he qualify more for being an interactive learner?
See, if you spot that he's interactive towards the adults and also towards the younger ones, but not with the peer group. Okay. That is what exactly everyone is facing in today's world. Because to get attention from the peer group is very, very difficult. They don't acknowledge. Peer groups never acknowledge. Why is the child so attached or fascinated towards the older people and also the younger children? My son is so good with the younger children, ma'am. Parents do come and tell. He can play, he can accommodate well. It's because they get acknowledgement from those people. If you do something, they acknowledge them. But in the peer group, they don't acknowledge. So we are facing the peer pressure. We are literally facing the peer pressure, and that is why the child is not learning from the group, but still we can definitely tell the child is an interactive learner. Encourage wherever they are good at, let them learn from the elders, let them learn from the younger group, and try and see what exactly is their struggle with the peer group. What exactly do they have the struggle? Is it the struggle of acknowledgement? Is it the struggle of something else? Understand what it could be.
Yeah, ma'am, my question particularly was, if the child is more into the interactive style and needs anybody around him, like he's probably not really looking at the age, but needs peers. So then it becomes very tough to learn with the child at home,
Yeah.
because that's where he gets his natural motivation from.
Agree. He will be always surrounded by people. Even at home, he will be outside the house in the community area with the 2-3 people. These are those extrovert people what we see, no?
Yeah.
Who always are being surrounded by people who learn to, they are very social. Their social IQ will be very, very high. Okay, if that brings them happiness, let them do. Not necessarily they'll have to learn only at home. We can encourage them to learn. As long as learning is happening, we can give them. So if they are an interactive learner, they will also be an auditory learner. You can see if the listening podcast and things help for the child. Learning through listening can be, because again that is also a form of imaginary form of someone speaking over there, no? So you will suffice it with that. So you'll have to see which is complementary, which will go well along with this, and then accordingly to the ways of learning, we can suggest.
Okay. Yeah, I'm getting you, ma'am. So an environment which kind of replicates having more people around, something like
more people around, or if not only through people, it can also through be machines also. You can get to hear our Alexa is there, our Siri is there. Okay, we can see how we can also make it at home also. If they can interact with Alexa and Siri also, it's good and fine.
Yeah. Okay. Got it, ma'am. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Any more questions?
No. One in the chat. My parents wants to do special.
Bindu, I just want to ask one question. Can I?
Sure. Yeah.
Just wanted to get to know from the madam, what is the right age for pre-vocational, post-vocational? Because if the child is reading, not that level, like let's say, if the child is 13-year-old and reading at the age of nursery or maybe pre-KG, pre-KG level. So do we have to give up for this reading, writing and learning, and we have to opt for the functional skills and PV? So what is the right age for this?
So,
just wanted to get.
Like your example, what you said, if the child is of 13 years and is at the first standard level or a 6-year-old level of reading, okay, for this much time, the child is a trainable category. Okay, start with the skills of skills. And still, if you don't want to give up on reading, continue the reading aspect, is because even if you are a trainable category, there is a lot of functional academics which you will need. A lot of things that even if the child understands to know 1/7 is 17, 2/5 is 25, it's really good because when you do some packing or something, you can get to read the numbers, get to do it. So continue to do the reading activity, whatever the pace is. Even if it is a very slow pace, continue to do it. It will add value to your pre-vocational or the vocational activity. So the exact age for pre-vocation is 8 to 10 years. You can take a call. By the time the child comes 10 or 11 years, if the gap is too high, 4 years or more, if the gap is 4 years or more, you can say that the child is in an educable or a trainable category, but do get it assessed or understand it from a professional, because we might be missing in any of the areas. We will not have given enough of exploration. The least what we want to do to a child is to deprive of anything. We should never ever do that. Okay, additional if we are not doing is also fine. We should not deprive a child. So go through a proper professional help and understand to what extent the child will be able to do. Continue to read. I know a lot of children who are not in the educable category but still does academic at a very slow pace for two main reasons. One, for the cognitive development, because academics always develops you cognitively. And the next is for the language and communication. Slow pace is also a pace. You can still continue to do it, but consciously knowing that the child will be doing it in a slower pace.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you very much. Got it. Thank you very much, ma'am.
Maya ma'am, there's a question in the chat. Mamta asks, what is the eligibility criteria for doing special education course for parents?
See, any course you do, I tell you to do a course, RCI course. Okay, don't do anything a non-RCI course because things are becoming more strict. I know how difficult is it for us to do a course and then finishing a course and coming out, the government declares your course is not valid. Don't take a risk for it. Go for a proper approved RCI courses wherein you will have a license to be a practitioner, which is they're making it more formal of late, and you get to also expand yourself as a professional. You get the right respect, right knowledge, right platform, right people, everything you get to do when you do it in a formal manner. So don't go and enroll yourself, spend time, fall for their thing of flexibility and adjustment is what the word they give for the non-RCA courses. Okay, and then do it. But if you're doing a parent course, I'm not going to be a professional. I am going to deal it as a parent. You can do a non-RCA course. Do a non-RCA course as a parent to do for the understanding of there are pretty many parent courses available. You can do that. Caregiver courses are also there. It's very much available. So for our children who are in the profound, severe and moderate category who needs a caregiver and think there is a caregiver course too. For that, you need not go for an RCA. Parent course, you need not go for an RCA. But if you want to be a professional, please, it's because you are risking not only your child's life, you are risking multiple children's life also. So do it in a proper channel and also as accredited by RCA.
Thank you, ma'am. Anyone else has questions? No, nothing else in the chat box.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, Maya ma'am. You answered not just 15, but more than that. I think you covered many topics through these 15.
That's how it works. This field is always only on question and answers. We will be able to relate better than these presentations. Presentation only will give a platform or a scope of what are we going to discuss. Only that will give. But the more number of questions from the parent angle, we will you will dig all my knowledge, whatever I possess and whatever I have worked with, because when a question is asked, I might be connecting to multiple children to whom I have worked with, and all these are acquired knowledge, right? So through experience what we learn, or through reading what we get, through connecting what we do. So this field is a field of discussion. So we'll have to keep it as open as possible for the discussion.
Sure, ma'am. Thank you so much, everyone, for joining us today. And thank you, Maya ma'am, for your time.
Thank you, everyone, for joining. Yeah, it was a nice. Let us see if we can continue doing it in similar manner. We'll have a topic, and then we can see to what extent we can make it as a series of a thing. If it benefits, let's continue, because ultimate goal is everyone should benefit out of it. And knowledge is more valuable only when it is shared. So let's see how we can connect for the future also.
Yes, thank you so much, ma'am.
Thank you, everyone. Bye. Bye, Bindu. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, Bindu.